Family, good morning. Welcome in us, the almost 1,000 plus strong. It's actually about 990 plus strong who believe in, who are after, who love, right? Who chase after, who hunger and thirst for that, which is a different view. Family, welcome in. As we near, the end of the season, little tongue twister there. I think it's important that we give shout out to the listener. I had been remiss in the last couple of episodes on that. Again, this thing does not work without y'all. If repetition is necessary for learning, I had found out from listen to another person's podcast I listen to, and again, we try not to mention names unless permission is given. So we don't do that. We respect people's privacy. But in listening to another person's video documentary podcast, however you want to look at it, right? Especially with videos being able to be done, it's more like video documentaries, multiples of them. But the phrase that I'd come up with, I hadn't realized it, right? When I say that repetition is necessary for learning, there's an old school phrase that encapsulates that thought. Kind of it's I'm saying something from something that was already said. I didn't even know it, right? But again, we like putting spins and flares on things because it makes it real, man. Repetition is necessary for learning. It is. Whether you're talking in the gym, whether you're talking what you like to eat. Hold on one second as we let little Snoop in the background here. Gotta love that Snoopy. A Merry Christmas. A Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, y'all. Again, because I am Christian, to our Christian brothers and sisters, there needs to be an air of humility. We have missed the air of humility. You can still worship the God of heaven and earth without being boisterous, right? These are some of the words that are used in the Bible. Some of the words that were used from an English thought process, right? Again, you don't have to be a jackass. Okay? Said plainly, the donkey, right? Braying, just, and we ain't got to do all that, okay? When it comes to other beliefs of the world, we down here with the other beliefs of the world, right? So there's no need for me to making fun of them. There's no need for me to be down on them unnecessarily. That's not what we're here for. Matter of fact, each one of us should keep each other in check. Come on. We're a family of humans. I got up on my computer right now as we prepare to hop into today's message, man. Philosophy. The word philosophy. Again, many Christians like to get in. This the Sunday message, y'all, right? Again, this the holiday version of the Sunday message, right? We'll see if we can get some music on in the background here to match. Maybe not. I've been playing around in the studio here, y'all, learning the craft, as they say, of podcasting. So again, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe you'll hear a surprise. Maybe you hear a surprise as we go along here with this episode. Maybe you won't. The word philosophy, the study of this, we've gone over on this podcast, the study of from Oxford's Dictionary, right? The study of the fundamental nature. Now, of course, they say of knowledge, reality, existence, especially when considered as an academic discipline. Again, the part that's more impactful as soon as I start reading it is the study of the fundamental nature. Ladies and gentlemen, because you work on that, we work on that plantation all day long. And by all day long, I mean all day long. They get into the point where they don't even want to really give you 2 days off. It's like you're there all day long. They keep calling you back. We have to band together so that we have some rest, y'all. when you are broke, when you are tired, when you are stressed, that is easy pickings for the man. We're just saying what it is, right? It's the reason why we're tired and we don't want to stand up for ourselves as far as our rights as homeowners, as our rights as gun owners, right? We don't shy away from things. Because gun control is necessary does not mean you shouldn't own the right to defend yourself, specifically speaking with a firearm. And we were going to talk about the California Indians, right? So we're going to talk about it today. Buckle in, ladies and gentlemen, because the document that we're going to read here, excuse me, it's a doozy. Again, like we have done for the last couple of the last couple of these here. We'll either leave the link in the description bar to this. This is just one source, multiple parts in the source, but one source that we'll be reading along today. If y'all can look it and pause it and as you're listening to me here and read along as we're going along, so be it. If not, you want to do it on the back end, so be it, right? How many people, I did not know until I had heard this again, like we had said, no one knows everything. Everybody learns something as you go along. And again, as I learn things, we pass it along to the family. And then you take it for what you will, right? Before people start getting in their high horse. This is dealing with our native brothers and sisters. This is dealing with our Mexican brothers and sisters, right? We're talking about the people groups that were living on this planet when Europe came calling. Establishing themselves on land we were already living on, using the Bible even to do so. Which is why to our Christian brothers and sisters, if what we owe is nothing but to love people and to uphold the banner of love, y'all, do you think any love was involved there? Do you think any love was involved with the Puritan and the Quaker? Right? We just finished eating that good pumpkin pie and that turkey and then potatoes and that corn, right? And that gravy. Some folks fried turkeys. Other cultures had chicken, some had ham, right? Many of these things coming from these lands that somebody else built a whole life on and push down other people. If you believe in God that loves people, right? We're not going to do this happy dance with the Noah story. We ain't going to do this happy dance, but we ain't going to do the, and it's funny, the little phrase came to my mind, the holy hopscotch, which we'll probably use from time to time as we speak in episodes going forward. We got a good holy hopscotch going on, y'all. We got the you know about hopscotch, right? Right. Those of us in the neighborhood played the game. You build your thing. You got it going. Deacon double dutching going on out here, y'all. I'm sorry, man. We just skipping over that rope. We don't want to touch it. We don't want to touch it because then the game's over. The game is over, y'all. This sick game we have been playing at the cost of people is no good, man. It's no good. Pushing down people groups, Xing out people groups, not giving folks credit. Your Bible tells you are supposed to give credit to where it's due. That the workers are worth their wage, man. We have missed it chasing after the bag, as they say in the street. Shout out to young people one time, right? As they say, we capping out here, y'all. We are. We're full of it. And to all the beliefs out there, if you love life and godliness, as we've said on this podcast, this is the time. This is the time to stand up and say what's necessary. Hubert Howe Bancroft was an American historian. He was born from 1832, died in 1918, right? Historian and ethnologist. Now, you got to understand here that as our European brothers and sisters, right? Shout out to our European brothers and sisters one time, ladies and gentlemen, huh? We're talking about people who added to life's achievements, just like the dark skin tone ones did. Unfortunately, though, that one group of people decided to operate with the sicknesses inside the other cultures to not give credit to where it's due to the darker and tan skin tone folks on this planet. And we got all kinds of words that they made that we pulled from back in the 1800s and 1700s and so on. Like the word Indian, because clearly now Indian has been describing whole groups of people instead of certain groups of people, right? We slap Indian on everything, right? A pin is an Indian. I'm just breaking it down here. You know, a little plush doll is an Indian. A spinning globe on your desk is an Indian. A plaque on the wall is an Indian. The calendar is an Indian. Let's get a little closer home. The desk calendar is an Indian, right? The calendar on your phone is an Indian. Interesting, right? All calendars still, but different. Totally different, actually. The digital calendar on your phone is different than the little small desk calendar. It's different than the calendar hanging on your wall, but they're all calendars, right? But different. The document that we're going to be reading from. Let me just click back here because I got a lot of things here to bring up as we speak. We're going to try to keep this short, y'all, but the information here is somewhat expansive. So it may or may not work. When you Google, let's begin on Google Books, the works of Hubert Howe Bancroft, it's called The Native Races. That's the name of this thing. Coming from 1882. Like we have said on this podcast, if you want to learn anything, it ain't in the mess that they have been telling you thus far. This is from Harvard College Library. This is, as some have said back in the day, official tissue. This is an old talk, man, right? The works of Hubert Howe Bancroft, Volume 1, The Native Races. And again, it has a subsection as you look at the pages. Volume 1, the Native Races. Volume 1, the Wild Tribes. Funny how they call them wild tribes, right? This is coming out of San Francisco. And again, we're going to be talking about California. Again, traveling into the land of Mexico. By now, at this point, it's been, we have now called it California, right? The government has now switched over, and they doing their thing, right? In the halls of the Harvard University Historical Department. This is all stuff that right? Entered according to the Act of Congress here, 1882. I'm just reading the pages. Again, by Hubert Howe Bancroft, right? So this thing is there, man. This thing is there. Okay. So we want to get down to page 364. Again, really not too much. This is explorers exploring. Okay. And eventually, as time progresses, they get over. Let me just see if my computer will bring me back to this page, or if I got to scroll down. There's a high possibility I might have to scroll down. It's all right because I know where I'm going. Right, y'all, we done talked about that. You got to know where you've come from to know where you're going. I've already done a little bit I looked ahead in this. I'd already heard this message on this, which was a powerful and impactful message when I heard it. So we expand upon it and look at some extra info here. So this is the description now. Folks, when we say on this podcast that this is again, right? When you talk about Pan-Africanism, you'll see people wear red, gold, green colors, right? Or and black, or red, green, black colors the colors of Pan-Africa, right? People who believe in the diaspora. Now, they say Africans. I think as we go along here, you're going to realize they're not only Africans, but dark skin tone people across this planet, right? The support of them. It's like everybody else supports anybody else. Jews, right? Asians. It doesn't, Europeans, of course. It doesn't matter. People support their own, as they should, as well as they should also be supporting each other that don't look like them, right? Again, we got, y'all. So, and we've been here for a while. I know that likes to buck the mind of the Christian because you believe this thing is just 2,000 years. But when you start looking at science, I know that you discredit. Then again, it is the ability to study that which the Maker's already put here. Like we have talked about on this podcast. When you read in the beginning in Genesis, that is the writer talking about what happened in the beginning, not the beginning right then and there when they were talking. I know folks like to look over it. They will go behind the reasoning of, and we're going over this word reasoning, right? They will go with the reasoning that of misinterpretation and all that kind of thing. This is normally the kind of topics that come out with this discussion when you have discussions like this with folks who want to stay to a certain place, and that's fine. That's fine, because we're all growing and going as we go, right? But again, we're talking the different view right now, okay? So page 364, again, dealing in what's going on. Now, what you don't realize on the back end is that this is dealing with central the descriptions, which we will read, the central, southern, and northern parts of California. This is what they're talking about. Actually, when you go up now, we're talking page 364. We're going to start doing some of our reading. When you go up to page 362, there's a lot of footnotes. There's a lot of like sub talking in between the main talking when you look at this book. I would suggest y'all give it a read. There's some very interesting things here that we're going to talk about. Again, this is a big old book. So for those who like to read, here's something for you to read, right? Reading is fundamental, by the way. That's a real thing. Again, we just talked about the word fundamental as far as philosophy is concerned. The fundamental nature of things. You got to read, y'all. We got to read. Let me, I did this again. My apologies. Let me shut off the sound here from the source I'm recording from. My apologies. I get to going and I forget that part. The Central Californians occupy yet a larger, this is the first paragraph on page 362, occupy a yet larger extent of territory. When you read things from the 1700s, 1600s, just to interject this, get used to like Bridgerton talk. Get used to how England speaks. I'm being serious, right? It expands further with the Bible when you start dealing with Arabic, Aramaic, all that kind of stuff. Start dealing in the different languages and the cadences and how they speak, because it will help. Again, this is really about words and phrases, y'all. Words and phrases are building thoughts. So, let's continue. The Central Californians occupy a yet larger extent of territory, comprising the whole of that portion of California, extending north and south. Now, I'm not too good on directions, but again, they're talking the central part of California, and they're just giving you where it is. So you can just look up, those who are good on maps and longitude, latitude, longitude, all that kind of thing. This portion that they speak of in California extends north and south from about, looks like 40 degrees, I believe how you say it. It's been a minute since I've dealt with this. So those in the comments you want to drop and put, again, we're all about learning on here. So I believe it's 40 degrees longitude and 30 latitude. I think that's how it goes. I could be wrong. It could be flip-flop the other way around. To 35 degrees. Again, longitude or latitude, and east and west from the Pacific Ocean to the Californian boundary. So now we West Coast, right? California knows how to party. We just saying, y'all, right? The native races of this region. Again, we know this. They put that word race in there. Again, ethnologists trying to understand people. And when you already looking at it through the rose-colored glasses of massa, it's going to be hard to really recognize people, right? You're just scoping out the territory so you can take what you got to take. Again, we talking 1880s, man. What was going on in the 1880s? What had happened 20 years before on the lands of North America? In the territory or nation that is called the United States. What happened? I'll let y'all fill in the blanks what happened in the 60s, the 1860s, right? Funny that 100 years later in the 1960s, you still had people fighting over culture and who's belonging to what. Maybe the pattern here is that we just all belonging to stuff and we got to do better at divvying it out. And that's where the problems begin. The native races of this region are not divided, as in the northern parts of the state, okay, into comparatively large tribes, but are scattered over the face of the country in innumerable little bands. With a system of nomenclature. So let's just take the time, right? You gotta stop to break down what you're saying. You got to. Nomenclature from Oxford's dictionary, the devising. This one I decided to do in real time. A system of names, terms, or rules for forming these items in a particular field of arts or sciences. So numbers, letters, if you're talking about language, again, this is all categorizations, sometimes unfortunately leads to generalizations and stereotypes, how you organize the things so that you can study it, right? Again, that was me reading off of just when you look up nomenclature, it's just right on the side. Wikipedia's little thing there. The devising or choosing of names for things, especially in science or other discipline. What they use in the sentence is the Linnean system of zoological nomenclature. Right? This is a fancy term for how you organize the things so you can study it. Okay? Like we always say, put that definition back into what you're reading. Innumerable little, so it's hard to count. Not numerable, innumerable. So they got lots of folks in little bands and pockets all over the place in Central California. See, when they say over the face of the countryside, not like the whole country. Then again, when you start to find out that there's Negro skulls that were found over in the East Coast, shout out to New York one time, right? Boston, Massachusetts, Connecticut one time, right? New England territory. Maybe country's got more of an expansive definition, but I'm just having to play on words off something that's actually real. But country, when they're saying this, is just talking about the countryside of Central California. Innumerable little bands with a system of, again, a system of how they do things. So intricate as to puzzle, I can't really read this word, Sisyphus. I'm guessing they're to puzzle and Sisyphus, something like that. Nevertheless, as among the most important, I may mention the following. And they go through the names of these different tribes. Wild tribes, right? Remember? See, again, when you start to look in through what the government recognizes now, that of course, like pardoning folks, the president, whenever they take over, then sometimes recognizes the tribe. Unfortunately, people like to give Donald Trump some sort of pat on the back because he is. It's funny how people do for Massa, man. It's really funny how people do for Massa, bro. Yo, Massa, he recognized the tribe today, KJ. I don't give a damn. They need to recognize them all. If you recognize them one, that means they got a whole list, y'all. See, he's trying. I can't. I can't. We're okay. This is like the husband beating the wife, talking about he got her a gift for Valentine's Day. Yeah. Since we're going to relationships, that's a good analogy, man. Again, it's like you abusing your kids, but then you go and take them out to a baseball game, man. You got to stop abusing the person to have the gift you given them means something more. Since we're talking about giving, and it's the season of giving and receiving, right? Which all it is really is just a highlight on what we should be doing all year long, which is giving and receiving. But I digress. All right, so now we'll get down here into the meat of this. The conflicting statements of men who had ample opportunity for observation and who saw the people they described, if not in the same place, at least in the same vicinity. Remember that. Just because they all didn't live in the same place, they were around the same area. So you got to give credit to that. Render it the way you're going to hear me talk with this here, and my apologies, this may go into about the 40-minute mark, but it's needing to be said. The way they talk is going to have high racist thought process. They're discrediting. So just, if it triggers you, we understand, right? But hang in there. Render it difficult to give a correct description of their physique. Okay? They're going to get very specific on their physique, by the way. They do not appear to deteriorate toward the coast or improve toward the interior so uniformly as their northern neighbors, okay? But this may be accounted for by the fact that several tribes that formerly lived on the coast have been driven inland by the settlers, and vice versa. So there's a battle going on. They mentioned the settlers, so these folks weren't there. They already talk about the fact that they're Aboriginal in the paragraph before that. They mention it. Okay, let's continue. This is just talking about them where they were, how they were moving. Again, everybody lived different. Our Mexican brothers and sisters going to live different than our Asian brothers and sisters, going to live different than our native, going to live different than, again, as we are now called black or Negro brothers and sisters, right? Different than our European, or as they are now called, white brothers and sisters. Still people, though. Okay, let's continue. Some ethnologists see in the Californians a stock difference from that of any other American race. So now, again, you've got people all over the world. They seeing different with these folks than you see anywhere else on these lands. Okay. The more I dwell upon the subject, the more convinced I am that, except in the broader distinctions, okay, specific classifications of humanity are but idle speculations. Okay. Their height rarely exceeds. This is they're going to start talking about now. Now this one was telling when I found this out. 5'8", and is more frequently 5'5". 5'4", yeah, or 5'5" inches. And although strongly, they are seldom symmetrically built. So, again, not everything is the way the body looks. Again, if you have looked at dark-skinned folks, especially our women, shout out to black women, right? Now, again, you realize that this does go to this trait goes to other people groups. This is where you get the pear bottom, right? Or, as Flo Rida made it so popular, apple bottom, right? Because everybody is built a little different. They're not all symmetrical in shape. You look at the word symmetry, right? We look different. Okay. Do you know what the average height of men are today? I took the time to look at that. Again, real simple to find out, and I just deleted it as I did it, but it's easy to do because all you have to do is ask your phone or your computer, what is the average height of men? What do you think you get, y'all? 5.6. It's the first thing pops up. Now, as you go through the different articles, again, we're talking articles now. We're not coming off of conjecture. We're talking about science, what people are studying. This isn't conspiracy. The average height. See, unfortunately, because life has been fantasized and romanticized in front of you, we go to the extremes. But when you stay in the middle, you find that the thing is very similar with some differences across the board, right? But when you get into a society that starts making these pseudo differences and who's do what because of these differences, like a caste system or a class system, this is where you get all this mess we got. Let's continue. 5'6", y'all. What did they say? 5'8", more frequently 5'4", 5'5". Okay, well, I guess then it's all matching up now, isn't it? A low retreating forehead. I want y'all now just for time's sake, because we're going along here, I looked up each one of these things. What do you think a low retreating foreheads look like? You look up images of a low retreating forehead, and look at the pictures you find. Just scroll through all the images. Just scroll through them all. You're gonna start finding a whole lot. You just after a while you start seeing a few pictures of some dark folk. Okay. Again, you also see some pictures of some light-skinned folk. Okay. Let's continue. Let's see what else did they said these people look like. Did I just? I might have just deleted this. Whoops. Pardon me one moment. All right, and we're back. Sorry about that. It's technology at its, but thankfully I already had the thing there set. So, all right. Seldomly symmetrically built. Okay. Low retreating forehead. They're also comparing this to themselves as well. You know, Europeans are doing this according to themselves. So, and of course, because the European has been unfortunately bred in their mind that they are the superior race because of that light tone and that golden hair. And this is a shame. Lord help us, man. And the blue-eyed thing or the hazel-eyed thing or all these types of things, you know, the red-haired thing that for some odd reason now you're the superior group. See, again, only when you chase massa do you now think someone is superior over the other, when in reality, we're down here to share this thing. That thinking has gotten it. Again, we're getting closer to Valentine's Day, right? As we pass through the new year and all that kind of thing. So here are some previews. This type of mentality has seeped into the home. And the husband thinks they're better than the wife. We all can do, again, especially for our Christian brothers and sisters and other beliefs, right? We all can do the holy hokey pokey here. Okay, or the holy hopscotch, right? Or deacon double dutch. We can do all those things, but we cannot dance around the fact that we're not operating together as a team. We are sowing discord into the song of life, and we are off key. We got to get back in harmony to sound in one accord once again, right? This is how you do it. You start studying people. Start studying the people groups. And you'll find that it's time to start giving credit to a group of people we didn't, right? Thick, bushy eyebrows. Deep, black, deep set eyes. Now, my eyes are brown. Okay. But again, Some folks have dark irises, black irises, right? All these kinds of things. Okay, I'm just talking about the eyes. Look up images of deep set eyes, what that looks like. Again, I've done each one of these. Thick, bushy eyebrows, salient cheekbones. So, high or low cheekbones. Just look that up. A nose depressed at the root and somewhat wide spreading at the nostrils. Now we're getting a little bit more descriptive. How many folks do y'all know where the nose is depressed at the root? We're talking squished down to the face, right? That's the root they're talking about. And somewhat wide spreading at the nostrils. Big nose, right? Ain't that how we make fun of black folk? My God, help us, man. Help us, Lord. A large mouth with thick, prominent lips. Big lips. Where you seen that before? They're talking about these people back in the 1800s, by the way. How many people was on that plantation? Yeah. And I can't. You gotta laugh to keep from being upset or crying, y'all. I swear. Teeth large and white. This is the joke where, hey man, you so black we can see you at night when you smile. That's stupidity, right? Okay. But oh no, KJ, come on, man. We not. Yeah, no, I know what we're saying. I know what we're saying. You gotta, hey, when you got this level of dysfunction, you gotta set up such a reality to help you cope. This is why I tell y'all to watch shows like Moon Knight and WandaVision. I know they dealing with some stuff. Folks don't want to talk about no Egyptian gods. I know that. God is 3 in 1, so it's already showing you an order of the deity, the Godhead. But we'll leave that alone, right? Because it's then you start to rattle cages, right? You've already looked through mental illnesses, and we've seen DID, we've seen insanity, right? You've seen cognitive dissonance, right? But that couldn't be the case when it comes to people, though, could it? It couldn't be. Not always regular and rather large ears. Okay. Is the prevailing type. They're describing what is normally seen. I got a lot of black friends, KJ. Yeah, how you treating them? Never mind. Their complexion is much darker than that of the tribes farther north. Okay? Often being nearly what color? What does that say, y'all? Black. They put the term on people groups of this black because it's dark. The tone of the skin is very dark. And we got saddled with black, just like Europeans got saddled with white, because folks like Walter Plecker, when you look back in the day, and many folks dealing with ethnology as they're dividing of that which is not theirs, started calling people names that they were not. Like we talked about with Montezuma. You start switching out the word Moorish for Indian. You're playing a big old game with people. Laws of life. And you want to get on the witch? So that with their matted bushy hair, y'all know what matted bushy hair is like? Go look it up. Again, when we start talking about look at your dark skinned brother. Look at your dark skinned brother. And there's also these traits do pour over. Again, like they're saying in this thing, these traits pour over to other folks. But we're talking the prevailing type, where you got to get that hot iron to comb out your hair. Now again, we got some folks on here that are 40 plus years old, just like me, right? For those who are in the mid 20s, 30, also that listen on this podcast, just like me. Now, like I was, I should say. Y'all right behind me in years, right? Know of your older brothers and older sisters and stuff that got to comb out their hair. My mother had the same type of hair that would get matted. It was thick or bushy, where you had to use a hot iron to comb it out and straighten it. It's the same kind of thing that goes on in beauty salons today where you got to straighten your hair, right? Again, in varying degrees between people groups. This one is where it's super bushy. Where have you seen that before? When you look up the images, how did I write it here? How did I do it? Yeah, matted, bushy hair images. You look at the people that you see on these pictures, man, and tell me, who have we seen like this around us today? Some people have found the fad in leaving it bushy. Again, if you want to straighten it and unmat it, you've got to iron and hot comb that thing, right? You got to treat it. Okay. Let's continue. Which is frequently cut short. So they cut their hair short. I guess it grew long then. Interesting. Now they say they present a very uncouth appearance. We all know that's a bunch of BS. Just to be blunt. It's not uncouth. It was uncouth to them. As you go down to 365, the question of the beard has been much muted. So again, they went back and forth over this, but again, it's a moot point. Because it is a moot point. People got different varying degrees. Some travelers asserted that their beards were like the Turks. When you look up a Turkish beard, looks similar to your boy Rick Ross, right? Just another day in the... Never mind. Every day I'm hustling. Anyway, right? Oh man, I can't. Maybach music, yeah. So that kind of beard, that kind of beard, right? Shout out to Rick Ross one time, man, right? Others that there are beardless as women, okay? So the women had, again, when you say beardless as women, no hair to a little bit of hair, just like you see don't you see women with some hair on the face? Don't you see them with some small hair on the face? Okay. Having carefully compared the pros and cons, I think I am justified. Now, again, I'm going past the notes. I'm just reading the big letters here. Justified in stating that we're in page 367, top paragraph, that the Central Californians have beards, though not strong ones, and that some tribes allow it to grow, or suffer, the word suffer, allow, just like you see suffer in the Bible, like suffer the little ones to come unto me. Never mind. We ain't gonna go there. Suffer it to grow, while others pluck it out as soon as it appears. During the summer, on festal occasions, I had to look up that word. Festal's old school for festive, right? So other than your parties, the apparel of the man. Check this out. This is for folks now who have a problem with the dress. You got a problem with how everybody dressing. We got fashion police out there, man. We got fashion police just as strong as the actual police departments in various cities across this nation, right? But check out how they used to work. This is the work they used to put in with the clothes in Central California back in the day. Oh man. Talk about California girls, right? Get ready. You got to square away with your own mind and soul as far as it comes to dress, whether one is being truly disruptive or is that person comfortable in what they're in, and you gonna have to get okay with it. Excuse me. During the summer, except on festival occasions. So that's when they got dressed up, right? The apparel of the man is of the most primitive character. Again, it wasn't primitive, it's just how they were. A slight strip. This is coming from the folks that, when it's documented in history, when the European came over here, they were smelly, by the way, because they didn't believe in bathing. But we'll let that alone. So why are we going back and forth on who looking primitive and who's not? Anyway, a slight strip of, like, what is the base for what you think primitive is? But anyway, a slight strip of covering around the loins, being full dress. That was it. And this Tarzan in the building. That's what was going on. But even this is unusual. The majority preferring to be perfectly unencumbered by clothing. You look at the word unencumbered, that means they ain't got nothing on. They got nothing on. They ain't about that clothes. You got all the clothes you need because your skin is covering your, tendons and bones, and you got your clothes on. Now, we got to stop and talk about nudity here for a second, family. Where I know we're here 45 minutes. We're going to try to wrap it up a little bit. This is a lot here to talk about, okay? I suggest y'all read this. It is very telling. It is very, very telling, right? Again, it's on Google Books. The Works of Hubert, Howe, Bancroft, The Native Races, 1882. There's different volumes he has. Go for the first volume that talks about the wild tribes, okay? When we speak on clothes, yes, we're talking about modesty, but you got to understand this is a subjective topic. What you think is modest does not mean another person does. And like this thing with land and money and everything else, we got to figure out where the in-between is. Where's a good in-between? Do we even know? These people did, and there was no problem back then. So you got to ask yourself the question, why is there one today? All right, let's go to the winter now. That was the summer we're talking about. So it's warm out. Okay, ain't no clothes on. What's the winter look like, KJ? All right, we all know about that winter. It's cold. We're all in these different states where it's cold now, right? First day of winter was yesterday. Shout out to the winter solstice. Mother Nature doing this thing. Put here by God, the planet spinning. We just watching it, dressing and keeping it, right? So let's see how they dressed up during the winter. In the winter, now we're on page 33, top of 368. Skin of a deer or other animal is thrown over the shoulders, or, like what you saw in Black Panther with M'Baku, how he's got that cloak or whatever over his body. Is thrown over the shoulders, or sometimes a species of rope made from feathers of waterfowl or strips of otter skin twisted together is wound round the body, forming an effectual protection against the weather. So, much like our native brothers and sisters in the north, the darker skin tone ones that were nearly black in Central California clearly knew what clothes to wear when it's cold out. Hence this thought that there is again, we're talking to fundamental nature things, philosophy. That's where I'm at, y'all. I'm good on Bible wars and all this, like Star Wars, but Bible wars. Everybody's using their Bibles like lightsabers, slashing back and forth. I'm done on that, right? I'm not quoting verses till the cows come home for the heck of it. I'm good on that. That's again, to each their own. I'm good on that. What is helping the everyday life? Because that's what this is about. The everyday life. We got to stop making fun of folks, y'all, because again, these people was here. You got to find out who you are, because again, everybody didn't come from Africa. Clearly, they were already here. Okay? Let's continue. The women were scarcely better clad. Means they ain't had that much more on either. Their summer cotton. No, you don't hear nothing about raping, by the way. You're not gonna hear anything about raping, by the way, because again, there's the high level of respect for the man and the woman. Then you still had problems, okay? But we're talking about the mentality was higher. Anyway. The woman, that don't mean that our mentality is so much lower now. That means we need to come up a little bit. The women are, and these are people that had parties and they had revelries and stuff that the Puritan and the Quakers said was pagan. Again, because you don't get down like that don't mean that was quote unquote ungodly. It means those people were enjoying this good life that God put down here for them. And you banded together with the U.S. government, aka Europe 2.0, to take land from them using the excuse that they were pagan or unholy. And that was wrong. That was wrong, right? Which you square it away with you how y'all want to. We're just saying what it is, okay? The woman being scarcely better clad, their summer costume being fringed upon, being a fringed apron, of tulle grass, which falls from the waist before. I got to read this for the ladies. So I want y'all. Let me slow it down a little bit. The women are scarcely better clad. Their summer costume. Now, I don't know why they called it a costume, but I digress. Being a fringe apron of tulle grass, which falls from the waist before and behind, nearly down to the knees, and is open at the sides. So these dresses that y'all see on the red carpet, Scarlett Johansson, right? Let's use some folks that people got a problem with Marvel. Brie Larson, Elizabeth Olsen, since folks have issues with witches. Trying to see. You got less issues with Okoye and Nakia from the Black Panther series, the Dora Milaje, right? But where the slits down the side of the skirt, this is how it was back in the 1800s with different types of material. It's just a dress, y'all. You're gonna have to square away in your own spirit, man, brother, looking at that which is the beautiful creation of this woman down here without wanting to hurt, harm, rape them, so on and so forth. We gonna have to get disciplined in this area. You can have encounters with women without all that mess. And it will enrich life as a result. So let us continue here. Some tribes in the northern part of the Sacramento Valley wear round bowl shaped. Now we're down in Sacramento. Okay, I'm just saying. Bowl shaped hat worn by the natives on the Klamath. Okay, so that's a designation that they're talking about. During the cold season, half tan deer skin or rope garment above mention is added. The hair is worn in various styles. Check this out. Some bind it up in a knot on the back of the head, like the bun in the hair. We've seen that. We're still talking about dark-skinned folks. So you look at how they do their hair. Never mind. Okay, others draw it back and club it behind. So what's that talking about? Ain't that like a ponytail? Okay. Farther south, so past south from Sacramento, is worn cut short. Occasionally, we find it loose and flowing. And it's not uncommon to see the hair adorned with chaplets of leaves or flowers. So you got flower in your hair. That ain't unholy. That ain't Celtic. That ain't pagan. That's just how these people operated. Okay? And they go on and on and on. In between the things, they go on and on and on. Just like I have gone on and on and on. Ladies and gentlemen, this planet is full of information letting you know that people groups are already living here. Whether you want to talk about the flood, whether you want to talk from the making of humans, know this deep down in your heart and psyche, all the people groups were already here. When Paul was talking to the Grecians at Mars Hill, right? And he says, from one blood, all nations of the earth were made by God that were dwelling down here. That is no lie, right? And that's where we're going to stop today. We have given you the information. We've given you the notes. I've done my little exhortation on it, right? This is the Sunday message, ladies and gentlemen, holiday version, right? Let's start showing love and care to our brothers and sisters down here so that we can live better and more powerful and peaceful as human beings down here, respecting each other's differences, right? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for walking this road with me today. And until next time, as always, look to find the beauty in a different view.